Hi, and welcome back. Today we are on episode 26. I have been interrupted like 6 times and I've had to start this over, so I'm going to try and fly through stuff today just to get this out. So I might end up skipping some topics that I intended to go over, but unfortunately I don't have a huge time window, and that's what being a mom is. So before I start, if you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, you can at fearmeitsbre-Planned. I try to put this show out a few times a week. I was sick for about 2 weeks between allergies and then the flu, so I didn't really have much that was out the last 2 weeks, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I'm putting this episode out today at 6, and then I am hoping to record another one maybe tomorrow and have that out as well, and if not, I will be back on Monday. So today we're going to go over The Chosen shooting themselves in the foot again. We're going to go over Elon Musk and Jeremy Boring, because there's a little bit of drama there, and it sounds like it's been resolved from what I was seeing, but we'll look at that. We're going to look at Biden's ex-Senate aide who has defected to Russia. We all know who Tara Reade is at this point, I think. Yeah, I guess she doesn't feel safe around the Bidens in America anymore, so she's in Russia. And then we're going to look at a Planned Parenthood ad, which I'll probably start with because it's quick. That just is mind-blowingly ridiculous. So we're going to play that. I'm going to read that to you guys, and we will get started right now with that. So I'll hop over there, and we will make sure that that's started at the beginning. So just tell me there's nothing wrong with this statement. When it comes to your abortion, any reason is the right reason. Okay, Kermit Gosnell. Telling your abortion story is important, and the more we talk about this essential form of healthcare, the more normalized it becomes. So in this ad, I'm not going to play the full video, but in this ad, we have this person named Lucky, who I am assuming is a female to male transgender, giving their abortion testimony, and how abortion shouldn't just be for women. It should be for all people, because we're not women anymore. We're menstruators. We're people who bleed. We're birthing persons. We're not women anymore. Planned Parenthood, which was supposed to be geared toward women, isn't for women anymore. So let's look at the ad real quick. I'll turn myself down so that you don't have to listen to an echo.
I tell my abortion story because people need to understand that it's not just a women's rights issue, it is a people's rights issue.
So on one hand, I find myself agreeing a little bit with that statement. On the other hand, it's a totally BS statement in the sense of, oh my gosh, you know where they're going with it. But I agree in the sense that abortion should not just be the issue of the woman having the abortion, because when a woman has an abortion, like it or not, there are 3 victims involved: the mother, the baby, and the father, regardless of if they're in the instance or not. I think that men should have just as much of a say as a woman. I think that women should not have abortions. I think that abortion, if I am authoritarian on anything or agree with authoritarianism on anything, I will say that abortion is one of them, because I believe that the rights of the individual child that is inside that womb are being infringed upon when you are cutting their neck open and tearing their limbs off. So I wanted to show the ridiculousness of this. An abortion for any reason is a good enough reason. So, I mean, I can't just throw my toddler out the window because he's expensive. So why can I murder my baby right up until 9 months? Because they're expensive. It's not even a rape or an incest question. I just don't want to pay for diapers, because we know from the Guttmacher Institute study, which comes from Planned Parenthood, by the way, that most abortions happen not because of rape or incest, but because having a baby would change my life. I don't want to have a baby right now. I don't want to pay for that. It's expensive. I might lose my career. And we also know that a lot of women would be more compelled to keep their baby if the father would just step up and say no. Now, that's not always the case, because you have people outside of Planned Parenthoods. We've all seen those videos of men crying and sobbing begging the woman, please do not kill my baby, do not kill my baby. And the woman just marching right in and having the procedure. So that is not always the case, but in a majority of the cases, if the women knew that they had the father's support, sometimes that's all it takes for them to not be scared, not be alone, and to choose life for their baby. So anyway, I just wanted to point out the ridiculousness of that ad. But, you know, Planned Parenthood also provides hormones and gender-affirming care to minors. So I don't know that we should expect anything less from the bowels of hell itself, and I don't think we should expect anything other than the work of Satan. So, you know, that's Planned Parenthood for you. We're going to move on from that, and we're going to hop over to talk about The Chosen. So I'm sure we all know about the pride flag that was spotted on set on a camera. It was an LGBTQ cameraman. I guess he's gay. He's married to a man. I heard something about potentially they do drag. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't want to say that because I don't know for sure. It's something I'd have to look into. And The Chosen, sorry, drinking coffee, so I just burped there. The Chosen decided to come out and say, hey, we're all different. Don't shoot the messenger. And it's like, what a cop-out. You know, if you guys really were the ministry that you claim that you are and not just a business in it for this, you could have said something way more intelligent, like, oh, we see this as a ministry. We see what we're doing, having people who are not of the faith or people who are of the LGBTQ community working with us and for us as ministry outreach. We may be the only exposure they ever have to Christ or the gospel. We don't condone this man's homosexuality and we don't condone his lifestyle, but we are willing to work with anybody to spread the love of Christ. No, they gave a cop-out, don't shoot the messenger, like I said. I complained about that yesterday, so I won't go too much more into that, but a couple of the actors decided to come out and say their piece on it, and it's problematic. Another one of the actors on The Chosen here says, Giovanni Caro, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Anyone who is going to go at one of our family members for something like this is no fan of ours. They can close the door on the way out. Love one another as I have loved you. We stand with our brother with a pride flag and a heart. Do you hear that, Christians? So go right ahead, pull your funding from The Chosen. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. And another actor from The Chosen also tweeted, his name was Jordan Ross. My brother G. Caro isn't the only one who stands by the LGBTQ members of our chosen family. Get out of here with your hate, homophobia, and ignorance. Not very Jesus-like of you. And then I got a little snarky, I guess, and I tweeted, hey, Jordan Ross, I hate to break it to you, but God struck down Sodom and Gomorrah for this exact thing. Not very biblically illiterate of you to claim that you know better than God. Because in saying that, that is what he is doing. He is saying that he is more loving than God because he is accepting of the LGBTQ community when God isn't. And he is saying that he knows better than God. That's not good. So we're going to hop back over here and we're going to look at my reply to this tweet, which has mysteriously gone missing. I sent it to someone earlier, so I'm going to find it real quick. My reply to the original first tweet that I read from, oh no, it was in response to Jordan Ross still. My reply was, if this was just a Hollywood production, nobody would give a flip. And that is true, right? I used Noah as an example, the Russell Crowe movie. Director was an atheist. It was his interpretation of what he considered to be just a story. It was Hollywood funded and produced. Do I expect it to be biblically accurate? No. Do I expect the people on set to behave like Christians? No. So that's why I don't have a problem with that movie, whereas a lot of Christians do. Is because I went into it with the foreknowledge that this is Hollywood. This is not going to be anything like it should be if it was an accurate representation. It's just going to be somebody's interesting interpretation, and it was. However, with The Chosen, it's different because they are claiming to be Christians. I've been skeptical of Dallas Jenkins for a long time. I know it's not my place to say whether or not somebody's a Christian, but when you do this, I don't believe that you are. If this was just a Hollywood production, nobody would give a flip. The problem here is that everyone on the Chosen TV is claiming to be different. They are crowdfunded by Bible-believing Christians. I've known people who have contributed to this show and the creation of this show because they believed that it was a ministry. They believed what, the creators were saying. They believed in this. They themselves claim to be Christians while actively supporting and promoting a lifestyle that goes against the very grain of Scripture. And let me tell you, I'm sure that when these people find this out, they will pull their funding. You can work alongside and employ anyone you want and show them Christ-like love. You can even use this as a ministry. But the claim that the Chosen is different when they actively promote a lifestyle that contradicts God's word is hypocrisy. Sin is still sin and separates us from God. So, the Chosen, they keep shooting themselves in the foot with this. I think that they're going to see a pretty big boycott. I don't think it's wrong to keep watching The Chosen, because if you're going to say that you're going to stop watching The Chosen over this, then you've got to stop watching everything else in Hollywood that has a biblical theme because of humanity's hypocrisy. I do think, however, going forward, it might behoove Christians to stop sending them their money, to stop funding this project until they apologize and until they repent. Because, like I said, Hollywood is one thing, but when you have people who are claiming to be Christians, claiming their production is a Christian production, openly supporting something that is so blatantly condemned in the Bible and so blatantly against everything that Scripture stands for, you have a problem. And it's not okay. So, unfortunately, I don't foresee the future of The Chosen looking very bright. So we're going to move on from that because I was just informed that somebody has woken up from their nap. So I'm not sure how much time I have left. So this might be a pretty quick episode today. Everyone's probably like, woo! So we're going to hop on over to the Jeremy Boring and Elon Musk drama, and I don't know why I started talking like Trump all of a sudden. I'm very bad at this, so I'm told. I wouldn't know, but so I'm told. We're gonna hop over there, and we're gonna... Gosh, do I want to read the entire thread? I'm just gonna kind of skim over it because it's long. So this morning I woke up and opened Twitter and saw Jeremy Boring had tweeted, Twitter canceled a deal with the Daily Wire to premiere What is a Woman for free on the platform because of 2 instances of misgendering. I'm not kidding. Here's what happened. 1 year ago today, we released What is a Woman. To celebrate the occasion and expand the movie's already enormous impact, we decided to give it away for 24 hours free on Twitter. With the Twitter's recent commitments to free speech, we thought it would be the perfect place to distribute the film and drive the conversation forward on one of the most important topics of our day. Twitter responded with enthusiasm and offered us the opportunity to buy a package to host the movie on a dedicated event page and to promote the event to every Twitter user in the first 10 hours. We accepted signed an agreement. After we signed, Twitter asked to see the film to better understand what parts may trigger users so they could better prepare their response. They said they were still all hands on deck for the launch, so we sent them a screener. After reviewing the film, though, Twitter let us know that not only could we no longer purchase the package they offered, they would no longer provide us any support and would actually limit the reach of the film and label it as hateful conduct because of misgendering. Specifically, in the film, a father refers to his 14-year-old daughter as her, and a store owner uses the wrong pronoun in a confrontation with a transgender person. We reminded Twitter they removed the misgendering from the policy, that the term misgendering itself is misleading, and that enforcing such a policy places them on the side of the most radical elements in society, the side most opposed to their commitment to free speech. Twitter clarified they only removed misgendering from their policy because they didn't need to be that specific, but that they considered misgendering abuse and harassment. They gave us the opportunity to edit the film to comply. We declined. When asked how much they would limit the visibility if we posted the film anyway, Twitter replied that our followers would not be able to see it in their feeds. They said this is part of their speech not reach policy. Of course, saying, you have the right to speak, but we'll make sure no one hears you is a bit like saying, you have the right to cast a vote, but we'll make sure it isn't counted. That's not right at all. We brought all our shows to Twitter Tuesday because we believe Twitter was committed to free speech, especially on this issue. After all, the Babylon Bee was silenced on Twitter over this very issue, and that in part prompted Elon Musk to purchase the platform. The other tech platforms have already decided where they stand in the trans debate and demonetized and deprioritized all those who disagree. Now Twitter has joined the ranks of other tech superpowers in ensuring one side of the debate is suppressed. Elon Musk is not beholden to conservatives. He has the right to run his business as he sees fit. But if Twitter is going to throttle one side of one of the most important debates facing society, it cannot claim to be champions of free speech. I hope Elon Musk will reconsider his awful policy. If we can't debate these issues on Twitter, where can we debate them? If conservatives aren't welcome on Twitter, where are they welcome? It's unlikely another centibillionaire will come along to offer an alternative. We plan to post the movie anyway, tonight at 8 p.m. EST. Will Twitter make good on their threat to throttle it and label it as hateful conduct? Or will Twitter live up to its great promise? We'll all find out together. So Elon Musk, sorry, I need to take a sip of coffee. I probably should have brought water in for this, but here we are. Elon Musk responded about an hour ago. He tweeted at Jeremy Boring, "This was a mistake by many people at Twitter. It is definitely allowed. Whether or not you agree with using someone's preferred pronouns, not doing so is at most rude and certainly breaks no laws. I should note that I do personally use someone's preferred pronouns, just as I use someone's preferred name, simply from the standpoint of good manners. However, for the same reason, I object to rude behavior, ostracism, or threats of violence if the wrong pronoun or name is used." Jeremy responded and said, "I appreciate the reply. We posted the 2 clips flagged by Twitter and that they are indeed labeled hateful conduct, and the share functions were disabled on the posts. We are trying to reach your team to determine what this means for those posts, whether or not our event tonight will be allowed to proceed unencumbered, and whether or not we'll be allowed to purchase the live event page and reach block as originally agreed. I appreciate your view of polite behavior, but our business is to debate public policy and philosophy. As such, we have an obligation to speak in ways consistent with our position. Our hope is that Twitter remains a place where we are free to do so." So, I appreciate Elon Musk and Twitter. I know a lot of people are mistrustful of him. I'm not saying that I trust him completely. I'm not saying that, he's the best person in the world. But I will say that I had Twitter for multiple years, and I had, probably cycling in and out for all of those years, about 5 followers who were all bots, right? I never had any reach. I never had any form of interaction. I was dead in the water. I was a fish, dead, floating on the top of the water, right? I wasn't able to do anything on here, so I essentially gave up on it. And then when Elon supposedly revived Twitter and announced that it was going to be more of a free speech platform, I said, all right, I'll try. And I'm not a big account by any means. I'm not a big show by any means. I'm not somebody that's super significant or anything. But the amount of interaction and reach, for better and worse, I have weird people on here that hate me, and I have people on here that love me a little too much. So for better or for worse, I've seen a huge difference in Twitter since he took over, and I am so appreciative of that. He's giving people voices who wouldn't otherwise have voices. I don't agree with some of his decisions. I definitely don't agree with who he's chosen to be CEO of the company. She's a wild card. We'll see what she ends up doing, but having a member of the World Economic Forum as the CEO of Twitter definitely does not sit well with me. But we got to remember, Elon Musk isn't a conservative. He's liberal, but he's reasonable, right? So hopefully this resolves this issue. Hopefully Daily Wire is able to do their thing tonight. I know even Steven Crowder said something about it, and he's had beef with Daily Wire. We all know that Steven Crowder and Daily Wire are not really great friends right now. And even Steven was like, I stand with Matt Walsh and I stand with this whole thing, and used it as a point to talk about how he, I guess, looked into streaming on Twitter, and he looked into having his show be on Twitter, but that there are some things that they don't trust, and there are some things that they see as red flags, so they've decided not to do that, which, respect to him for that. I hope that works out for him. I have heard from people who are streaming on Twitter that it's difficult and it's weird. Daily Wire's doing it. Hopefully it works out for them. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't bite them in the butts. We'll see what happens. But I just thought it was interesting that Elon actually, he responded to it. He responded to Jeremy. That's good. And we'll see whether or not Twitter continues to remain open and free as it is. It's not totally. or if it's okay. I'm seeing in the comments that people are like, yeah, no, this, I looked at the tweets in question, the scenes that they shared or whatever from What is a Woman, and that they're still severely restricted and unshareable and all that fun stuff. So I thought that was interesting. Take with it what you will. We'll see tonight what happens if Daily Wire is able to do what they want to do, or if they have an issue with it. And the last thing that I'm going to look at today, like I said, it's going to be a shorter one today. I'm hoping to hop on tomorrow, maybe go over some stuff I didn't have time to go over today. We'll see. My voice is also starting to really suffer, so I think I do need to cut this short. But we will look at the last article here. This is from updated on May 31st. So, all right, it is pretty recent. It's Daily Mail, so the proportions of the article are bizarre because Daily Mail always likes to look weird on here. Biden's ex-Senate aide, who accused him of sexual assault, defects to Russia. Tara Reade says she doesn't feel safe in America and wants Putin to give her citizenship with the help of convicted spy Maria Butina. That's interesting. Reade leveled assault accusations dating to 1993 during Biden's 2020 campaign. She said she is defecting an interview with Butina. Butina was convicted in the U.S. of being unregistered foreign agent. So it's interesting how we have Stormy Daniels coming out against Trump and being like, all this unproven allegation stuff that she said never happened, right? Stormy Daniels at one point said this never happened till she decided to write a book about Trump and make money off of it. That's when she changed her tune. All this uproar about that, and yet we have Tara Reade, however you say it, coming out against Joe Biden, and everyone's like, oh, it's not true. Don't believe her. She's obviously trying to frame him. And it's just like, rules for thee, but not for me. Jeez. Live up to your own standards sometimes, guys, please. Joe Biden accuser Tara Reade is seeking to defect to Russia, saying on a Kremlin-backed program that she fears for her own safety in the U.S. Reade made a series of stunning assertions while appearing on Russian state TV with Maria Butina, who is convicted of acting as an unregistered foreign agent inside the U.S. while cultivating relationships with a series of U.S. political figures. Reade called Butina my friend. Why are we seeing DeSantis? Okay. I'm still kind of in a daze, but I feel very good, Reade said in an appearance on Sputnik. I feel very surrounded by protection and safety, and I just really so appreciate Maria and everyone who's been giving me that at a time when it's been very difficult to know if it's safe or not. Okay, I guess we could listen to the video. Let me just pause it real quick and I'll mute myself. Right here.
Then in 2019, it became clear that Joe Biden was running for president, although he was not the front runner at that time. There were 7 other women that came forward. One of those women was Lucy Flores. She was a political representative in Nevada, and she was getting torn to pieces for coming forward about Joe Biden's inappropriate behavior. I decided at that time to speak out about my experience in 1993. But before I did, I tried to reach out to congressional representatives privately. No one responded. I reached out to Bernie Sanders. I reached out to AOC. I reached out to Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, who were in California, my representatives, and they gave me silence.
So that's interesting, because can you imagine if somebody reached out to them and said, hey, Trump groped me? They'd be like, and then it would be a huge story. It'd be Stormy Daniels 2.0. So hoping I also don't get copyright struck for this. I'm trying to figure out where to pause it so that it is safe. All right, back to the video.
No response. Then I went to an organization called Time's Up. Time's Up was an organization in America that was prompted by the Me Too movement, funded by Hollywood stars for millions of dollars to provide legal and PR assistance to people who were coming forward about powerful people that had been harmed.
It is funny how, Me Too is such a noble, noble thing. And it applies to Stormy Daniels. It applies to, people who genuinely were abused, like the Harvey Weinstein victims. It applies to people like, who is that? Dagnabbit. Anyway, you get my point. Christine Blasey Ford in the Kavanaugh case. Me Too applies to anybody as long as you're on the left. As long as you're not accusing some big leftist or liberal politician of something. And then they shut you up, and then they don't care about you, regardless of if she's telling the truth or not. I don't know how much proof there is. I don't know her. I don't know Joe Biden. I don't know what happened. But what happened to believe all women, right? What happened to this believe all women because men lie, men bad, men this? Oh, well, they're saying bad stuff about Biden, so we need to shut her up. So let's continue with the video.
Time's Up has since been dismantled. It's been discovered it was corrupt. And part of the corruption was my case. I went to them for help, not knowing they were already on the payroll for the Joe Biden campaign. He gave them, according to FEC, which is the Federal Elections Commission records, over $2.2 million while I was trying to come forward to try to silence my story. This came out in the press, but very little coverage, of course, in the Western media. While during that time, I was accused, when I first came forward, of being a Russian asset.
That's the big thing here, right? Oh, well, you don't like the left, you don't like Joe Biden, you don't like wokeism. You're clearly a Russian asset. That's literally that's all you hear. That's all you hear from them. That's all you hear.
Of lying, of being discredited. I was accused of all kinds of things, threatened with prison, threatened with my life, my family, my pets. It was very difficult. I kept speaking the truth. I kept pushing forward. I kept pushing forward to Republicans, hopefully that would bring an investigation into Joe Biden. Finally, this year, Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, both U.S. Congress representatives, said they were going to investigate Joe Biden. But then what happened is, of course, the attacks on me started again and the threats. People started messaging me, asking me if I was suicidal, asking me, making vague threats. And I could see that starting again. And I put out a viral tweet saying, that I am healthy and I am determined to bring Joe Biden to justice, to bring some sort of investigation, and to testify under oath before.
Again, it's hard to know. Anyone can accuse anyone of something. I don't know how much proof there is. She could be flat out lying. She could be telling the truth, right? Innocent until proven guilty in this country. But with Biden's track record, how he acts around women and how he acts around small children, I would not be surprised if she is telling the truth. And the fact that she is afraid for her life to the point that she has fled to Putin? Wow. Seriously. Wow. All right, let's get back into it.
For Congress if asked. During that time, I had the opportunity to come to Moscow, Russia. I've always loved Russia. I do not see Russia as an enemy, nor do many of my fellow American citizens. This illusion that Russia is the enemy is propagated by a few Washington elites who are determined to cause problems. In fact, I'll take you back a minute. In 2019, one of the things that got me in a little bit of trouble was that I said out loud that Joe Biden, if he were to become president, would try to go to war with Russia.
Hey, somebody predicted everything about this man's presidency. Wow. Someone, they're going to get her on that. I love Russia. They're going to be like, she said she loves Russia. She's clearly a Russian asset. Did you hear that woman? She said she loves Russia. But, it is what it is.
because of his warmongering in the past, and because based on what I had heard when I worked way back as a staffer and then watched as a geopolitical analyst what was happening and the movements that were happening by NATO and by the United States. So that brings me back to the present. I had an opportunity to have my book, which is already published in different languages. I took that opportunity and had meetings and had a vacation and enjoyed Moscow. Apparently, the US government wasn't happy with my choice of vacation spots. So it became clear that going back might be a problem. I don't know the level of which the attacks will continue. I only know that when I got off the plane in Moscow for the first time in a very long time, I felt safe.
That's kind of scary that she's like, I feel safer in Russia than I do in America. Again, you never know. She could be lying, she could be telling the truth. I don't know this woman. I don't know Joe Biden. But again, why aren't we giving her the benefit of the doubt like we gave Christine Blasey Ford the benefit of the doubt when she accused Kavanaugh of things? Why aren't we giving her the benefit of the doubt like we're giving Stormy Daniels the benefit of the doubt when she accuses Trump of things that she said never actually happened in the first place? And if she's telling the truth here, why did nobody answer her back? Why did AOC ignore this when she's the champion of women and women's rights? Why did Nancy Pelosi ignore this? What happened to women standing together against all the patriarchy? Apparently, it doesn't exist if you're not on their side.
And I felt heard, and I felt respected. And that has not happened in my own country. I did talk to U.S. Congressman Matt Gaetz. I have not concealed anything. I told him I was in Moscow, Russia, and I told him why. And he said something very stunning. I am considered a whistleblower, as you know, in the United States. One of the cases I will be testifying is about how the DOJ and the FBI has weaponized by the Biden administration against its own citizens. So he said, Tara, I'm worried about your physical safety in the United States. As a U.S. citizen, to hear a U.S. congressman basically say they couldn't protect me in a whistleblower case is stunning.
Yeah, if that's true, that's absolutely terrifying. I like Matt Gaetz. If, what she's saying is true and he said that to her, that's scary. I don't know that she'd be any safer in Russia, but that's scary. The only thing I'd be afraid of is that, if I were her, if that Putin might try and use me as a political pawn or something like that. I don't know. That's crazy. That's insane. We're probably, there's 3 minutes left. We might be able to finish it. I got to wrap this up pretty quickly. So let's see if we can get through the rest of this.
And it makes me angry. And I want to say to my fellow American citizens that as these cases against all of us are coming forward that speak out, I want you to remember the U.S. Congress works for the U.S. citizens. They work for us. We don't work for them. And we need to take back our power. We need to take back our truth and be able to speak it without fear of reprisal or physical harm.
Yeah, she's absolutely right there where I know a lot of people, especially Christians, will be like, well, we got to respect the government. We can't stand up to them because, God ordained them. Okay, when we're talking about the American government, you are the government, honey. You are the government. They're there to represent you. You have every right to speak up against them. You have every right to tell them that you do not like what they are doing. You have every right in America. You have God-given rights in America. That's what the Constitution is supposed to protect. And when they are not upholding it and upholding those rights, you as an American and as a Christian have the right to say, hey, I'm the government. we don't want you in power anymore. We're going to elect somebody who will listen. You have every right to speak up. And when they try and silence you for speaking up, that's when you know that you have a real problem on your hands.
So, the American people are very sick of hearing about the Russophobia. The poll numbers are showing they're not in support of the proxy war that NATO and the U.S. are waging. I have been very outspoken about this. As a geopolitical analyst, I've been very outspoken about the U.S. and its endless wars. There are many of us, and I spoke at the Rage Against the War Machine, a rally in Washington, D.C., that are tired of all the resources going into the military. This year, for the first time coming up, the defense budget will be $1 trillion, which is an unimaginable amount. Meanwhile, roads in America are falling apart, the infrastructure is, the economy is down, and inflation is up 40%.
So that's something like, America needs to take care of itself from within before, especially with how do we expect to fix it every other country and remain a superpower in the world when we can't even take care of our own country? She's absolutely right there. We've been demoralized, we've been destroyed from within, right? So Yuri Bezmenov talked about that, the Russian defector, in the 80s, where he was saying that all it takes is 25 years to demoralize a nation. All it takes is raising up a generation with these ideals to the point where they will look at truth in the face and they'll say, I don't believe it, even when it's obvious and blatant and clearly in front of them. It takes a generation to demoralize a nation to this point, and it takes it takes raising up another generation to change it back. And we're at a point with America where we are demoralized. We don't take care of ourselves. Our nation is literally becoming garbage, and it's really depressing, honestly.
We have the highest child poverty rate we've ever had, the highest homeless rate in history. Our economy is crashing, and they're continuing to warmonger. Recently, it came to my attention that one of those representatives said something incredibly deplorable. And that's what he said was, speaking, I believe, to the Kiev regime, that he thought the money spent was well spent killing Russians. The only word I can think for something like that is evil. That is evil, and that is not the sentiment of the American people. And for a representative of the U.S. Senate, the U.S. Congress, to continue these rhetoric that is so hateful, it's so deplorable.
I'm not sure who she's referencing there. Was it Lindsey Graham? Because didn't he say something about that? Where he was like, yeah, Russians, kill them. Or he was, he was the one that said we should go up, flat out said we should go assassinate Vladimir Putin. I wonder if it was him. If she might say, but I'm not sure who she's referencing there. But I wonder if it's Lindsey Graham.
So much of what you've seen in a lot of my content when I've talked about my case, I've also talked about the targeting of Russia and Russians and even your president. I think it's wrong, and I've spoken out about it. And there are many people around me that think it's wrong, but are afraid to speak. So further, I want to talk about the whistleblower issue. Whistleblowers, there's an act in Congress, we're supposed to have protection. Where's my protection?
Yeah, whistleblowers haven't had protection probably since that act was created. They don't want you whistleblowing against them. Are you kidding? They want to keep doing their dirty little shenanigans and brush you under the rug or Epstein you.
Others, why are so many people having to seek shelter in Moscow? I feel very lucky to be here. I don't want people to think that anyone told me what to say or anyone put me up to this. I feel very fortunate, and these are all my own thoughts. And if you follow my Twitter and you follow my content, you know I talk about geopolitical issues. You know that I analyze those things. You know how I feel about all of these things. And you also know that I never got an investigation.
Anyway, that's the end of that video. That's interesting stuff. I'm not sure how I feel about her. Let's see if there's... She fielded questions from an audience members during an appearance where she bashed the U.S. position arming Ukraine following Russia's invasion. It is very sad that Americans have chosen the wrong side in history, she said, echoing Kremlin propaganda about the Ukrainian government. Well, Ukraine is corrupt as HE double hockey sticks, and so is Russia. And so is America. There are no good guys in war. Sorry. She described her visit to Moscow as breaking impressions. The food tastes so good. There's no chemicals. There's no GMOs. She said, I'm just not giving you a smokescreen. She said she wasn't sure she would go back to the U.S. even if Biden is replaced, although she expressed doubts he makes it to run again. I'm not sure if the new president will change anything for me. I have lawyers working right now to figure out because some of the cases are sealed that are against me, so I don't know what they have in mind. But what I do know is that unfortunately the Democratic National Committee is quite corrupt. Unless that's dismantled and taken down, I'm not sure things will get better, she said. Ah! Wow. Okay. Sorry. That was terrifying. I scrolled down. So, like, I was reading you guys this, and then I scrolled, and that's, yeah. I forgot to open this page up, so you did not get to see what I did when I saw it. Anyway. Let's just finish this out. Hello, Putin. I just didn't want to walk home and walk into a cage or be killed, which is basically my two choices, she told Sputnik. To my Russian brothers and sisters, I'm sorry right now American elites are choosing to have such an aggressive stance. Just know that most American citizens do want to be friends, she told the Daily Beast. She also tore into the U.S. defense contractors and called the bombing of the Nord Stream pipeline a war crime she suggested would be carried out by the U.S., echoing Kremlin claims. Bertina said through a translator she would pursue people-to-people contacts in Russia and experience Russian culture, and pledged to help her draft her applications supporting a way for Tara to stay here in Russia that would go all the way to the Russian President Vladimir Putin. She said she would help her pursue a fast-track procedure. Reade, during 2020 presidential campaign, accused Biden of having sexually assaulted her while he was senator. Biden and his team denied the allegations, but after the allegation drew headlines, there were reports that she left a trail of aggravated acquaintances in California's Central Coast region who said they remember two things about her. She spoke favorably about her time working for Biden, and she left them feeling duped. That included a landlord who called her manipulative, and who said that she and her husband wanted to sell the unit he was renting. Reade, who went by a different name, told her, "You're going to have to pay me to leave." PBS 74 interviewed former Biden staff after Reade leveled her allegations of sexual assault. The New York Times reported in April 2020 that Reade, who had featured in reports from multiple women, said Biden engaged in kissing and hugging that made them uncomfortable, had alleged Biden sexually assaulted her in '93 in a Senate office building. But it also reported that no other allegations about sexual assault resurfaced in the reporting, nor did any former Biden staff members corroborate any details of Mrs. Reade's allegations. She issued a cryptic tweet earlier this month after Republican Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene invited her to testify. I want to make something clear. If something happens to me, all roads lead to Joe Biden, the DNC, political machine threats. Late last year, Russian diplomats sought to bring Reade to the UN to testify about diversion of U.S. weapons provided to Ukraine. All right, so I'm going to end it here. I got to go. I'm going to try and jump back again tomorrow. I do have a little bit of time, and if I don't have time to hop on again tomorrow, I will be back on Monday is the plan. So hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and if I don't come back tomorrow, have a great weekend, and I will see everyone next time.